This is Harry Murray at Murray's Flash Up in Edinburgh, Virginia. Let's do our podcast for March for the smallmouth bass and also for the wild brook trout. Okay, this is really a very, very important month for both the smallmouth and the brookies. On the smallmouth, these fish are already friend feeding. I've got a friend that has caught a couple right nice smallmouth here on the North Fork, so I think we ought to take advantage of it while it's there. I might even try to go this evening. The bass need to feed. The water temperature is gradually creeping up and they need to feed. Now, the thing of it is, they don't want to fight real heavy currents in the riffles below the boulders and all that. That's a no-no. These things I call bank bays are the hot spots right now. I've got them marked on the river in my mind, places I've been fishing for many, many years. And I go back to these places. Now, what I'm talking about is a bank bay. This is when high water over the last many, many years has carved back into the bank of the river. Might cut a trough back in there as much as 10 feet. Sometimes, I've got one right just came to my mind, is 20 feet back in there. So what the high water over the past years has carved back into these banks. And these bank bays, I'm calling them, might extend down the river for, sometime 20 feet. Well, these are real hot spots because they are loaded with food. They block the current off the bass, and the big bass will get back in there and feed. Now, the flies I do the best with there, the Murray's Olive Marauder in a 6, the Chartreuse Marauder in a 6, and the Murray's Black Heavy Hellgrammite in a 6. Those, and Ed Shank's White Streamer, got to throw that one in there yet. Those are the ones I do the best good. Now, where I'm fishing these and having good success, I wade down the river about 30 feet out from where these bank bays meet the main flow. You with me on that now? So there's a cut back in the bank. Where that cut meets the main flow is where a lot of the big bass are caught. I'm wading down the river. I'll cast back into those bank bays and I'll strip it out real slowly, just as deep as I can get it. Some of those bank bays are much as 4 feet deep. So the bass are back in there. They're feeding. And some of these are dandies. So I'll fish that bank bay, and then I'll get out of the river sometime and move on down to the next one. So I sort of cheat on this. I go back to the same ones year after year after year. And they're always producing. So don't overlook this on the smallmouth world. Now, March is a very important month on the wild brookies. Now, what happens here, we'll say early March, the Quill Gordon nymphs are growing like gangbusters. They're not ready to hatch yet, but they are coming close to reaching their full size. I don't know if you fiddled around with these nymphs, real nymphs, often or not, but the Quill Gordon nymph moves to the downstream part of the riffle. If you go down to the lower part of the riffle and just tip on up, my gosh, they're going to be Quill Gordon nymphs all over the place. And these they won't be quite a size 14 yet. They're just not quite there. But they will be in about 2 or 3 weeks. So the way I fish this, I come in from below and fish upstream dead drift with the Mr. Rapidan beadhead nymph. I'll cast that thing right up to the riffle itself and fish it dead drift, trying to match those nymphs that are up in there. And this is very effective. Now, within 2 weeks after that, this Quill Gordon is one of the few mayflies who actually pops his wings, heads to the surface of the stream with his wings out. You know, most of them come up to the surface and then pop their wings and away they go. Not this guy. He comes up to the surface with his wings already out. That's why if you look at this fly I call the Mr. Rapidan emerger, you'll see that I have actually put a wing on it, and it is an emerging fly. And that's going to start, we'll say mid-March. They're going to be coming up through there, and they are very vulnerable to the brookies when they're coming sailing up through there. Then, overlapping that emerging period, there are going to be a fair number of the adults that are going to pop out on the surface and ride the surface. So although I'm using that Mr. Rapidan emerger quite successfully, they're still going upstream dead drift right below the riffle. All right, but still, since that emerger's going up, I'm going to jump over and use the Mr. Rapidan parachute dry in about a size 14. So March is hot as a firecracker. And right now, I've been on the stream quite a bit here just in the last couple of weeks. Some of the streams still carrying quite a bit of water. Probably be better off to go up on the Skyland Drive and come down off the top. Because some of them are pushing pretty heavy water. But right now, they're going to be, over the whole month, it's going to be outstanding. Now, the last, I'd say, 2 weeks of the month, we get the hatches of the little blue quills. And I use the blue quill mayfly in a 16 and 18, and they're pretty generous to feed on top. Once these blue quills come, they're here to stay, and they're usually right plentiful. Especially, pull your topo map and look at it, especially those streams that have a southern exposure. I'm not going to name the streams. I'm going to let you find them. But pull your topo map and look at the streams that have a southern exposure. For some reason, this is where we get some real heavy hatches of blue quill, and that's going to be on for practically another month. But I use the blue quill in the 16 and 18, and I drop on down to 6X on that. I'm not reluctant to go to that. So between what's going on the smallmouth and what's breaking loose on the mountains, I think this coming month, March, should be one of the finest months we have this year. Water levels are good now. I'll talk about it a little later, but the little yellow stoneflies, now they're not going to see those yet. But the little yellow stonefly, which is in the nymph form, it's very fragile. We have not had ripping, roaring floods that have destroyed those little nymphs. So come the right time, and I'll tell you about that. We're going to have plenty of little yellow stoneflies unless something happens between now and then. So this is Harry Murray at Murray's Fly Shop in Edinburgh, Virginia. If you have any questions on this, ring me at the fly shop. 540-984-4212. Thank you for being with us.